All right, our lecture here is going to be political culture number 2, and we'll start with today with the political parties. So political parties, we were learning about different things with Republicans and Democrats before you guys walked out the door. But what does a party do besides have national conventions that are very, very exciting, where random people are talking like Clint Eastwood and other celebrities supporting either party or another? But a party is an organization that seeks to achieve political power by electing its members to public office. That's how you dominate, is you want to have the most people from your party and certain members of the House or Senate and or the president. Again, organized in 3 levels: national, state, and local. So we have local Democrats here, state Democrats, national party. Again, they have local chapters of each one of those parties. The platform, very important. We learned what the platform was today. Think back to that article, statement of what the party believes. We read that article on the platform of the 2012 Republican and Democrats today in class. You made that T-chart. It was about same-sex marriage, abortion, Medicare, Social Security, tax cuts, the environment, and Second Amendment rights. Remember that. Look at that for a reference point. What do parties do? Parties recruit candidates and support campaigns. They also help organize elections, and the big one here is they're going to inform voters. They let voters or people know what the voters or how to vote on certain things. Very important. They educate people from their party on topics that they should want to vote and how they should want to vote. They serve as loyal opposition to the political party in power. Think of Republicans right now with the Democrats, and the Republicans also in relation to President Barack Obama, who's a Democrat. Republicans are opposing him. They unite diverse interests and make collective action possible. What do I mean by unite diverse interests and make collection action possible? It's just making collective action possible is making decisions, doing things, uniting things, getting things done. And they organize the government. They help organize the government, staple it. They help organize the government for what it needs and what it wants to do to be successful. In our two-party system, we have a two-party system as opposed to Europe's multi-party system. 2 political parties dominate the process, control the government. We have the Republicans. We have the Democrats, which will be next. Here's the Democrats. The donkey, yay. Democrats. These are, again, we've learned this the last couple of days, almost too much, but this is typically what the Republican would be, typically what the Democrat would be considered. If you want to really write this, I'm not going to go over all this. We've done that in class the last couple of days, so you can just pause this part of the video. Third parties, very important here because they're not very powerful, but they do exist out there. And there's usually 4 types of third parties. You have single party issue parties, which again, there's a single issue and they want to, like the National Women's Party, they promote voting rights for women. You got the Right to Life Party, they oppose legalized abortion. And that's all their parties is centered around, is those kind of things. You have economic protest parties, and there's, again, 2 I'm going to show you here. You have the Greenback Party, paper money versus silver coinage, and you have the Populist Party, protested economic conditions and government parties. You have ideological parties, like the Libertarian Party, favor reducing the government role in civilian lives. We kind of learned what that was through our ideology quiz we took the other day. And then you have splinter parties for people who are unhappy. You have the Progressive Bull Moose Party. Think TR. He was the first member of this. And then you know again, Green Party would be party like an example of a splinter party from the Democratic Party. Tea Party, it's part of the Republican Party still. It's just a really ultra-conservative faction of that. But the Tea Party's lost a lot of steam now, so they're almost irrelevant to a certain extent. Again, more with political parties. Some of the problems with political parties is they lack strong rank and file because anybody can join. You have no duty. So I can say I'm a Democrat. I can just join Democrat. There's no qualifications for it. And I don't have to do anything. And nobody really cares about your political party until it's election time. So that's one of the problems with the political party process and the political party system. Again, there's tension between the party regulars and issue purists. the people that are always there, or the people that are single issue. Hey, all I care about is abortion. All I care about is, same-sex marriage. All I care about is gun rights. Well, the people that are always there, they have issue with those people because they don't care about the big picture. All they care about is that issue that relates to them. Not responsible enough for social reform, the parties are not. And they have lost many of their traditional functions. Nomination of candidates in the funding of political campaigns and unifying the government. What I mean by nomination of candidates, again, the Democratic convention is pretty much just, yes, they nominate, but it's just more of a dog and pony show. Just any of the conventions, not just the Democrat, the Republican will as well. They fund the political campaigns. They do that, but the government actually funds and has an opportunity to give the candidates their own money to use for political campaigns. The parties used to, not as much anymore. And they really don't unify the government. We have what's called a divided government. They actually divide the government, not unify. So this is why political parties are on a downward swing. That's what this whole slide is talking about. And the big one, another one's growth of interest group, and especially the growth of mass media and social media has changed the role of political parties. Because now you don't look to a political party to give you information, you just look to mass media and social media for this. Looking at elections real quick. We'll just stop it on the last one on political parties. So I'll end your video right now on this with my slide, and then I'm going to go public opinion. So we're going to look at these notes here and what public opinion is. There's different types of publics we've talked about real quick. The first type is elite. We've discussed what an elite is. Those were disproportionate amount of political resources. They raise issues to help set national agenda, influence the resolution of issues. You also have the attentive. So you have types of publics: A, elite; B, attentive. Those with an active interest in government and politics. That's you. You guys, some of you might be elite, you're attentive, and then you also have the mass. Those with little interest in government and politics. Don't you dare say you're the mass. You are the attentive. You have an interest, you're excited. But in all truthfulness, everybody else outside of our great government classes are not excited about politics. Only during times of election. Then you're going to have, again, when you're looking at publics, there's the different types of publics. Now, what kind of opinions do these publics have? You have stable, which changes very little. Think about the death penalty. That's not going to change very much. What you believe in the death penalty and what the public believes in that. You have a fluid opinion. This changes frequently, and that's presidential popularity. One moment Barack Obama is beloved, the next moment Barack Obama is hated. And, again, it all depends upon unemployment rates and things related to that. And then you have latent, which is dormant but maybe aroused. Military draft. The draft is not an issue, but if it all of a sudden becomes that, then people have an opinion about that. Then you have salient, which have some personal importance to individuals, like the Brady and the gun control and things of this nature. Again, it's what's important to you. Consensus, which is above 75% or more of the population. We all want a balanced budget. Doesn't matter what political party you are. This is what we want. Another type of opinion that exists out there is polarized. This is shared by less than 75% of the population. These are, again, gun control, and then environmental rights, or environmental regulations. That's what this is dealing with. But again, gun control and environmental regulation are two things that are big issues there. How do you measure public opinion? First is by election. But this doesn't, like it says here, doesn't tell us why people voted as they did. It just tells us how they voted. Another, you have informal polls, a straw poll, which is inaccurate because of the numbers are just who you're sampling, what's your sample size. You always want to look at that when you're looking at polls. What's the sample size? And so it all depends upon the poll. You also got to look at how was the poll constructed. So if you have a scientific poll, you look at the construction. What was the population being measured? How did they select their sampling size? Was it through random means? And this explains where each person has equal chance of being selected. If it's a national poll, it has to have a certain amount of respondents. What's the sampling error? If the sampling error is huge, that just means that the poll's no good. You want a small sampling error, which means 75% of the population approved President Obama and 25% disapproved. That was the poll put out, let's say. But if the sampling error is 20%, that means in actuality it could be 20% the other way. Or 20% of the people could feel the other way, so the numbers could be off. You want it to be typically 2 to 3% in the sampling error. And you can reduce sampling error by adding more respondents. So the bigger the poll, the less the sampling error is. Again, how did you write the question? Is it biased? Is it unbiased? You know, if you ask a question of President Barack Obama, do you think President Barack Obama is doing a horrible job, a horrific job, or is he doing an okay job? It never asks if he's doing great. It never asks is he doing wonderful. Do you approve him? It gives you 3 negative responses. That would be a biased question, and it works both ways. And the selection of means of polling. How did you do it? Where did you conduct it? Things of this nature. Those are all help with the construction of the poll, and also helps with there's a word called validity. How valid is the poll? And then use of polls. What do? They inform the public. Big thing, circle it, inform candidates. What do my constituents feel about certain issues? They got to know this. Inform office holders, which is, again, the candidates, and make election night through the use of exit polls. Understand what that means. People walk out of the poll, you ask them, how'd you vote? And so it helps with the projections. And then you got abusive polls, horse race mentality emphasized during campaigns and expense of issues. You try to be the first to break it. How they doing? You can constantly comparing the two. What's in the lead? What's not in the lead? Again, that's what the horse race means. You pander to the whims of the public by candidates and office holders. And early projections caused. This one here is talking about when abusing the poll. The early projections of the 2000 election. That was huge. Fox made a big mistake. Because Fox made this big mistake, you now have the birth of Fox News as you know it, pandering more toward the Republican Party, because they made the mistake and declared the presidential race for President Gore. And then again, what's the awareness and interest in this? The importance, especially the mass public, do we really care? And because a lot of us have lack of political knowledge, so this is again just talking about those issues. A lot of people don't know what's going on, but we look at these polls to inform us today. Alrighty. Take good notes on this. We'll talk about it in class tomorrow. Please, if you have any questions, you always write it down. Ask me in class so I can clarify. Have a good night.